Yeah.
That's that.
Oh, well, we're going to move it on to a traditional game, baseball, America's game. Danny, the Tigers went out, bought $138 million worth of talent over the summer or over the winter, and they're 0-7 right now. The only team left in the majors without a win. What do you think?
I'm not a Tigers fan, but I can certainly feel their pain. When you go out and all these expectations, we even talked about it on our show here, Chris. Is this team going to set the record for most runs scored in a season? They can't put runners. You have huge acquisitions. Miguel Cabrera is batting, around 100 on the year. Polanco's below that line. Pudge is still behind them. Guillen's the only guy that's hitting the baseball.
No. There's two great hitters on that lineup. Well, Cleat Thomas
and Brandon Inge also hitting the ball. But Guillen obviously hitting the ball very nicely, and he looks like he's never played first base before.
Yeah,
he hasn't played first base before.
Yeah, right.
That's what happens when you shuffle everything around. It's almost as if they have too much talent. They don't know where to put these guys. Because obviously, guys like Renteria, guys like Polanco, guys like Sheffield, guys like Cabrera, guys like Guillen, they've all shown that they can hit the baseball. They will turn it on eventually. I think what this shows, Chris, is pitching is important. So is hitting. So is chemistry. And Curtis Granderson missed sorely at the top of that lineup.
Yeah, they definitely Granderson to get things going at the top of the lineup. How about this? They're only averaging a shade over 2 runs a game through 7. That's horrible. They're supposed to be hitting like 5 or 6. $130 million payroll. They're only hitting .245, Danny. I mean, they're not hitting. They're not pitching. I think it goes hand in hand. Maybe you get a few more runs on the board when you bring in the middle relief. Maybe they'll have a little bit more confidence knowing how young they are. You got your Batistas, your Bizarros, your Lopezes. Even throwing Zach Minor in there, and then the veteran Grilly, who just had a horrible performance.
Yeah, well, I mean,
on Tuesday.
it's not a great bullpen. But then you look at the pit. It's a tough argument to make because the bullpen's struggling when they come in the game, but your starters can't go deep in a ball game.
Exactly.
Verlander on opening day mowed through the first 5 innings against Kansas City and couldn't quite get over that hump. He looked like he had a complete game performance in him, didn't quite get it done. Obviously got shelled in his last outing. Bonderman unimpressive against the Royals, and D-Train 7 walks. Pitched okay when he got the ball over the plate, but you have to go to that bullpen when guys can't pitch.
That's Leland's steam in his brain. He's about to blow
That's
in that
also
locker
the hot
room.
seat rising.
He's trying to make everything cool and comfortable atmosphere-wise.
He's got to get a game quickly. They got to get a win. They need a win. One will help them a lot. Speaking of baseball, the Michigan baseball team starting to build a little bit of momentum as they enter Big Ten play. Do you expect another just absolute domination in the Big Ten this year from the Wolverines?
I expect nothing less. I mean, they took 3 out of 4 from Penn State this past weekend. They
First loss in the season, in Big Ten play.
They lost 10-1 though on Sunday, so I guess they just anxious to get back home to Ann Arbor Sunday night. Chris Federer named Big Ten Pitcher of the Week too. He pitched a scoreless complete game shutout back on Friday. Great outing for him. He's 5-0 in the season, so look out for him and Putnam at the top of that rotation. Rich Bologna's really got to be working these guys throughout the season, preparing for the College World Series. Last year, all the way to the Super Regionals. Don't make it to Omaha.
That team last year hit a little bit of luck, especially with that Allen Oaks homer against David Price, who's now a top-ranked minor leaguer in the Devil Rays.
Allen Oaks has got a little bit of pop in that
Rays system.
Allen Oaks got a little bit of pop.
But here's the thing: that was a little bit of it was a little bit of a lucky run last year, advancing all the way where they lost eventually to Oregon State. But all things considered, obviously this is the cream of the crop as far as Big Ten baseball goes. I don't think they're quite there on a national level. I mean, obviously a loss to Central Michigan, not exactly cool. Penn State, some losses to some of the directional Carolina schools earlier in the year.
Coastal
Portland,
Carolina.
coastal, not quite directional.
Portland.
I'm getting there. But, regardless, certain players haven't stepped up. You look at a guy like Mike Wilson, pitcher. This guy's a junior. He had a great season last year, all Big Ten, first team All Big Ten pitcher. 0-3 with an ERA, upwards of 9 this year. Once he gets settled in that rotation is good from 1 to 5, this team will head deep into the season. So no worries there.
Look for them in June. They better make it this year.
Cool.
Great to see them on the national landscape in baseball. Moving on, playoffs starting in another sport. They put on skates and hit hockey pucks around on the ice. NHL playoffs, most exciting playoffs I think there is, Danny.
I think it's awesome.
Most intriguing first-round series to you? What do you think?
I like the Rangers and the Devils in the East.
That's my favorite right there.
You know, two teams with a lot of bad blood, and you have great
tough,
goalies.
Physical,
Lundqvist
gritty.
And Brodeur, obviously, two great goalies. And this is a team, they've exchanged some players. Gomez, obviously, switching teams there.
There's some...
Chris Drury now in that rivalry, another good player. These are, two great teams. They hate each other, and they're right across the bridge.
Yeah,
so,
and the Rangers took 7 out of 8 from the Devils earlier in the season. The Devils, however, are the 4 seed. They're going to have the home ice advantage. So it's
home ice. I don't even think home ice will matter that much because you have Rangers fans that'll make the trek to Jersey and Devils fans that'll make the trek into the city.
Yeah.
I also like the Flame Sharks just because the Sharks are the hottest team in hockey. But I've always been operating under the mantra that you might as well just call playoff hockey goalie. And Mika Kiprusoff is one of the best goalies in the NHL, so that'll be fun to watch. Plus, that atmosphere in Calgary is always a tough one to play in.
Definitely.
And then lastly, Wings fans, I know obviously so many exits in the early rounds of the playoffs.
It's going to be tough.
They have Nashville, a team that's not that bad.
Yeah.
I think the Wings will get by though.
Yeah, Nashville always plays the Wings tough in the season. 5-3. Detroit won the series during the regular season, but getting into the second round, they're going to face the winner of Anaheim, Dallas, in that
That's
second
also
round.
tough.
That's going to be tough. I think Anaheim's going to be that one, and that's who they lost to
And
last year.
I'm very interested to see what Montreal does this year. This is a team with a very, very young goalie in Casey Price, 20 years old. He's our age, Chris, and he's going to be anchoring the #1 seed in that Eastern bracket.
Yeah.
And obviously, hockey crazy Montreal, first time good, solid hockey team. Deep into the playoffs, we'll see what he can do up there.
How about possibly in the second round, Sidney Crosby against Alex Ovechkin?
Yeah, I know. Wouldn't that be awesome?
That's going to be quite
That'll be
a
a lot of
series.
fun. And I'm glad to see that the Caps snuck into the playoffs because that's a fun team. They've struggled for a very long time. They really haven't done anything since their run to the Cup in '98.
Yeah.
And it'll be fun for
toughness will be tested.
a
against the
lot of
Flyers.
non-hockey fans tend to tune into the hockey playoffs just because there's such an intense
more
atmosphere.
intense.
So they'll see Ovechkin, they'll see Crosby. The Stars are in
Great
it this
TV.
year.
Great
Should be
TV.
fun. We have our own Stars coming up here on YSM ISB. That would be Peter Saul. So stick around for the main event.